Jim Dolan at Caltech was interviewed yesterday and explained the Oak Ridge fault that caused this quake.
The Oak Ridge Fault is a major fault that extends all the way from the central San Fernando Valley, all the way westward through Ventura. It goes offshore in Ventura and extends even farther westward down the Santa Barbara Channel. The earthquake that occurred today apparently broke the easternmost segment of that Oak Ridge Fault. Locally, this fault is called the Frew Fault, but that is so uneuphonious that we're going to throw it out. We're now calling this the eastern edge of the Oak Ridge Fault. As Lucy just mentioned, it is a steeply south-dipping fault. We have ruled out this plane as a potential source of the earthquake. The earthquake did occur on this plane. The Oak Ridge Fault actually comes up and doesn't get to the surface. It never quite gets to the surface. In fact, what happens is it rams into the bottom of this fault, which is the Santa Susana Fault. This is a structurally similar fault. Farther east, it's the Sierra Madre Fault, which runs along the base of the San Gabriel Mountains north of us here in Pasadena. This block moved this way, that block moved that way, but all that energy never got to the surface because it got dissipated when this thing interacted with the Santa Susana Fault.
Up until yesterday, there had been no tremors on this fault, this Oak Ridge Fault, for the past 200 years.
CNN's California quake coverage continues when daybreak returns. And also ahead on daybreak, reports another arrest is near in the attack on figure skater Nancy Kerrigan. And we saw the cheerful testimony last week.
Cross shelters are just set up camp in parks and in yards. CNN's Don Knapp found one such group in San Fernando. He joins us now. Don?
Right, Frank. A lot of people found these campsites, as you said, throughout the valley, but not necessarily everyone was sleeping. In fact, a lot of the people just spent some time around the campfire trying to pass the night in the early morning hours, just staying up, very happy not to have a roof over their heads. We are at a campsite near the Red Cross shelter at the Recreation Center in the city of San Fernando. And let's talk to some of the people here. This is Luis Corona, who has a perfectly fine house across the street, but decided to spend the night out of doors. Luis, why?
Because I feel better in here. I think over there is dangerous than here because walls around you and furniture and a lot of mirrors. So I think it's dangerous.
What about your wife and your children? I mean, where are they tonight? You're sitting by the fire, but what about your family?
Well, I got it over there in my van, right there in the brown van. So they are sleeping right now.
How long are you going to do this?
I don't know, maybe the next 2 days or...
Until you get some assurance that there's no more quakes.
Yeah.
What's it going to take to assure you that it's safe to go back in your house?
Well, I'm going to ask maybe the fire department and they're going to give me an idea what I'm going to do later because everybody's confused right now because everybody's scared. That's why.
Everyone's afraid.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Luis. And also over here is Ana Renteria. Ana, you have also chosen to spend the night here even though you have a good house that you could stay in.
Yes.
Why?
Why? Because there is a gas leak near where I live, and it's safer here.
What about your children?
They're with me.
On the ground?
Yes.
Cool.
I have a daughter in Occidental College, but she's okay, and I'm here with the rest of my family.
And just spending the night?
Yes.
This campsite, obviously, it does have access to the Red Cross shelter, but many places there is no access to shelters, and people are just living out, getting through the night, doing probably pretty well because it is, after all, the first night. So they were able to get back into their houses, get some food, get some water, get the blankets and things they need. The first night, this first morning, is almost over now. Looking forward to another day, a little bit tired from that difficult day. So now they have to deal with the second night, and that's when it's going to get a little difficult. So we'll have to look ahead to see if they're going to get any help. Someone just suggested to me to mention the aftershock. We didn't feel the aftershock here, but people, the sound tech said she did feel the aftershock. So those aftershocks keep coming. You get kind of used to it sometimes. You get a little bit nervous and jittery sometimes. You're not even sure they're there. The truck bounced about an hour ago, and it felt like you're just riding down the highway, only it was sitting still. So people will be spending the night out of doors dealing with this problem. Right now, a psychological problem, clearly, with this kind of concern about aftershocks, and we'll have to see what the next day brings. Reporting live, Don Knapp, city of San Fernando, California.
Thanks very much, Don. Well, ELA A shot from overhead, one of the first shots of the morning, as Los Angeles tries to put itself back together again and perhaps return to work. Barely coming up over the horizon as it is still dark here, but commuters in the Los Angeles area are well accustomed to a very, very early start for what under normal times is a trying commute. Here you can see a picture of a snaking roadway with that's already got bumper-to-bumper traffic. Well, now at the epicenter, as we said, of the earthquake lies the community of Northridge. California's Governor Pete Wilson toured that area earlier today. We spoke with him. He says there may be one other individual there. Standing by now is CNN's Pat Etheridge. She's also at the scene. She joins us now with the latest. Pat, the governor was saying there may be one more victim inside believed dead, correct?
Yes, the local search and rescue team is rotating around the clock to make certain that no one is still left inside. They believe that they have recovered all of the bodies, but they are making this check and will continue to do so throughout the day. And Frank, just within the last 20 minutes, we have experienced two major aftershocks here at the site of the Northridge Meadows apartment complex. They happened just as the governor finished up a walkthrough of the area. He commended the local authorities for the rescue effort and for keeping the peace in the wake of this disaster. He also addressed another matter that will not improve with daylight, and that is a mangled freeway system.
That will be the worst long-term disruption, and it will be major inconvenience. There's just there's no disputing that. There are about 5 major casualties. One that will cause serious disruption is the Santa Monica Freeway, in which 2 of the highway bridges are down. It will not take very long to get rid of what has to be demolished, but then when you replace the structurally damaged segments, that obviously is going to take, we think, up to a year. It may take less, but we're saying that it could take a year because, in fact, new construction of the freeway can usually takes no less than a year, and in many cases up to 18 months. We hope it can be done faster.
There were some 300 units in this apartment complex, and the residents who made it out alive are now staying with friends, family, or in local shelters. And as I said, the search and rescue teams continue to be on the site, checking through the debris to make certain that there is no one left inside. When the earth shook here, the top 2 stories of this multi-level apartment complex crashed into the ground level. Many residents were trapped in the rubble, and 15 people died. It took hours for urban rescue teams to recover the victims. Now, searchers don't expect the death toll to rise. But using dogs and super-sensitive hearing devices, they continue to comb the rubble until they are certain no one is left inside.
Well, we tried to do a search on the 3rd story, which actually looks like the 2nd story right now. Each room has to be gone over. Even though it's not one of the pancake rooms, there still could be people under beds or under dressers or things of falling.
Deep into the night after the earthquake, the lights came back on along Reseda Boulevard, the street that runs in front of the apartment building. And National Guardsmen have arrived in the area, scouting for looters or other signs of trouble.
We're just basically out here for a presence, just to try to keep anything from happening at these businesses and stuff like that.
Again, much of the power in this area is still not restored, and no word on when it might be back. Frank?
Pat, you say the power hasn't been restored in that area. How widespread an area are you talking about?
Well, along this street on Reseda Boulevard, we do have some lights up, but as you drive along through the other areas, you can see that none of the homes or the apartments or businesses in the areas have lights at all.
The governor was there. I'm sorry, Pat, go ahead.
Governor Wilson addressed that problem when he was here. He did say that most of the power was expected to be on by 9 o'clock last night, but it has not been restored for this isolated area anyway.
And when the governor was there, it was the wee hours of the mornings, obviously. What was going on at that time? What was he trying to accomplish with that visit?
Well, he went in with the search and rescue teams, and he described them as a multifaceted team. There are medical experts here. There are dozens and dozens of different experts testing for all kinds of different things on the site. He waded his way through the media. There are dozens, hundreds perhaps, of reporters and camera crews on the site. Other than that, it is very quiet. The curfew has been very effective. Only a handful of lootings reported.
Okay, Pat Etheridge, thanks very much from Northridge, California, scene of that apartment disaster, which is where more people died than in any other single location from the earthquake. We will be back with more coverage of the California earthquake, its aftermath, and Los Angeles trying slowly to put the pieces back together right after this.
And then I see the light from the studio windows is very bright. So I look at the outside, and then the flames just after my house.
The Lee's house and 4 others on their street were destroyed, but the family of 4, despite its material loss, was intact and uninjured. Others
Emotional aftershocks of losing their homes and property.
All across Los Angeles, residents tried to assess the damage to their property and to their lives. The faces of many of these people told their own stories of disbelief, shock, and fear. What was the sound like for you? I mean, what could you hear?
It was the most nauseating, loudest rumble and tearing and crumbling. It was almost evil sounding.
All around the city, cracked foundations and slowly crumbling walls led people to remove their belongings, fearing their homes would collapse. As this family rushed to rescue their property, a 5.0 aftershock hit, and they scrambled for safety. These apartments dropped 10 feet down, completely demolishing the cars below. Inside, Armin Vantanyan and his friends sifted through the debris.
You were here with who?
With my wife and my 10-day-old baby.
With your 10-day-old baby. You must have been terrified.
We were.
So what did you do? Just go and grab the baby?
We grabbed the baby. We were standing in the doorway, and when the second one hit, we felt the entire apartment just dropped 10 feet. And then after the second one was over, we just got out of here.
This is the first time Lisa Dewey saw her house after the earthquake.
My husband's glasses right there. Can you see them?
What happened this morning at 4:30?
I was standing where it was buckled. Did you see where?
Oh, sure
I was
I did.
standing on that, and that threw me back and into him and knocked him over, and then we just said, get out.
It will certainly take weeks to determine the real losses in this quake, but some knew immediately what they were grateful for.
What happened for you?
We're just laying in bed, just finished feeding her.
Yes.
And just started shaking. Everything, me and my wife just tried to rush in and get her, make sure she was all right.
And she is?
Yeah, she's great.
Well,
if anything happened to her, we don't know what we'd do.
And it is now 16 minutes after the hour. When we come back, more on the emotional aftermath, dealing with the psychological tremors when Good Morning America continues.
They realized would have to be in the first floor. Most of the second and third floor had already been evacuated. So we realized our problem was going to be in the voids and spaces underneath the second floor, which was originally the first floor.
Talk to me about the difficulty of getting to those who were trapped.
It was absolutely impossible from the outside to get to them from the trap. We had to come down from the top, cut down through the floors. Some of the floors were lightweight concrete along with the wood. So it was a difficult, physically demanding situation that we faced.
Those trapped inside, were they communicating with you?
On our primary search, that's what we try to do, is get a communications. We yell, bang on the floor. When we get a response verbally from the people or physically pounding on a wall, that's where we concentrated our rescue efforts at the beginning.
But in those instances where you're trying to take debris off of those who are trapped, is it possible that you're adding to the weight of others who are trapped?
Not really, because we're working in separate units within the building, and it seemed that in each of the units down below, there were 2 or 3 people. Most of the people that we found that were deceased were in the bedrooms, and there were only 1 or 2 in each of the bedrooms that we found. So by cutting the debris away from the top, we actually released some of the weight on them.
How many fatalities did you wind up pulling from the building, Chief DeFeo?
There were 14 when I left last night. It's my understanding they've either found 1 or 2 more for a total of 15 or 16 at this time, Brian.
And how many were you able to rescue?
In our heavy rescue techniques, which is different from just banging doors open, we actually had to use our rescue airbags, our rotary rescue saws. We rescued 18 to 20 of those people.
Are you satisfied that everyone in the building has now been accounted for?
At this time, it seems that they all have been, but again, search and rescue will continue until we've covered every void and area in the first floor of the entire building. It's the only thing that we can really verify that nobody's left.
And are you using the search and rescue teams for that? Are you using dog sniffers, electronic devices? How do those things work?
Yes, we are, Bryant. They've used search dogs. They have state-of-the-art rescue equipment on the scene right at this moment. There's fiber optic TV that they can actually get into the voids and see if there's anybody in the voids. They have sonar listening devices that can detect heartbeats and people breathing. They have special saws, special lifting tools and equipment. So everything that we can possibly do, the state-of-the-art equipment and heavy rescue is on the scene in this incident.
Chief DeFeo, how are your resources holding up? Do you have enough manpower to accommodate the need right now, or do you have emergency calls backed up and waiting in line?
No, I think we're handling very well right at this moment, Bryant. We had held over one of the platoons yesterday afternoon. We were able to release them. And now with the assistance of the Federal Emergency Management USAR teams, we're holding our own within the city.
In a personal sense, how'd your house fare?
Thank you.
How'd your house fare, Captain?
Beg pardon, sir?
I said, how did your house fare?
Well, my house fared very well. I'm lucky I live on the outskirts just south of here, and it wasn't impacted by the major portion of the quake.
Okay. Captain Robert DeFeo, thank you very much, Captain. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Brian.
It's 8:20. We're back in just a moment, right after this.
Closed. Whole sections of at least 4 major roadways were completely destroyed by yesterday's earthquake. And joining us from the Santa Monica Freeway this morning is Julio Rodriguez, Caltrans engineer. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
If you don't mind, explain to us what's going on behind you there. There's a lot of heavy equipment moved in, and you've got struts that are being put up and whatnot. Explain what's going on back there.
Right now we're trying to reinforce the remaining part of the section, the remaining part of the freeway that was not damaged during the earthquake. We have here some steel and wood reinforcement that we're adding to the freeway. And after that is up, we're going to start demolishing the west part of the freeway from the hinge to the abutment. That'll take a couple of weeks, and then we'll start reconstruction process.
Oh, I can see now. Okay, so to your right is the area where the Santa Monica Freeway collapsed, and behind you then to your left is an area that's intact. You're going to try to reinforce that so that doesn't fall down when you demolish the other stuff, right?
That's correct.
How long do you think it'll take once you start to tear the ruined part of the highway down? How long do you think it'll take to demolish all of that?
I estimate it's going to take a couple of weeks to clean everything up.
And are people guessing right now? Santa Monica Freeway, a lot of people say, is the busiest single freeway in the country. What is Caltrans saying about when it may again be operational?
We estimate that it's going to take about 6 or 9 months to get it back on operation again.
6 to 9 months?
Yes, that's a long time.
What is the scuttlebutt around Caltrans and the other engineers? How long have they been able to get out and examine, do the inspections necessary on all these other freeways that may look okay, but may in fact have sustained some internal damage or something?
Yeah, at the beginning of, as soon as we got out of bed yesterday, we went and inspected every single freeway, every single bend, every single bridge, and we determined which freeways have to be closed, which freeways have to be demolished, which have to be replaced, and we determined which ones are safe to ride for riding right now. We took most of the day yesterday evaluating all the freeways, and we arrived to the conclusion that some of them have to be totally rebuilt.
Wow, we were looking at the picture from, I guess it's the 5 that's out north from you up there. What about that one? Do you have any guesstimate at all about how long it might be to put that one back together again?
On the 5?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I haven't looked at that one. I'm in charge on just on the 10 freeway.
Just where you are right now.
Yes.
What advice would you give to folks out there about going to work today? I got 15 seconds left.
You have to take it easy, and we're working hard. We're trying to do everything we can to put you back on the freeway again.
All right, Julio Rodriguez, we thank you for joining us this morning. Less than 24 hours later, and the work has already started to put Los Angeles back together again. 17 minutes until the hour. Stay with us.
Roland Ballesteros on the stand this week. He was the agent assigned to rush the front door of the Davidian compound on the day of the raid. Ballesteros has testified in earlier hearings that Davidian leader David Koresh came to the door, but rather than allow agents in, he said Koresh closed the door and the gun battle began.
The ATF witnesses, I think, by everyone's position. I mean, the case should be won or lost through those witnesses, one way or the other.
During testimony last week, defense attorneys raised questions about the compound's double front doors. Only one was admitted into evidence, and defense attorneys say the missing door could provide clues as to whether the ATF or the Davidians fired first. Much of the testimony during the opening week of the trial dealt with the massive weapons inside the Davidian compound. FBI weapons expert James Cadigan said dozens of the nearly 400 weapons found in a search of the compound had been illegally converted to fire fully automatic.
Prosecutors are arguing that the ATF had a valid search warrant and that the Davidians fired on them when they tried to serve it. Defense attorneys are countering that the ATF wanted to make a big show of the raid and came in firing. The Davidians, they say, simply fired back in self-defense. The key will be who the jury believes. Tony Clark, CNN, San Antonio.
We'll have more of CNN's coverage of the Southern California earthquakes coming up in just a moment.
Easy place. The damage is widespread. It ranges from buildings that have completely collapsed, causing fatalities, to homes and other offices where things have simply tumbled from the walls. In any case, people face a great deal of cleanup and repair as the city moves forward. The attention to what is happening here in Los Angeles is by no means confined to those who live here from across the United States. People are calling in and registering their support by contributing to a variety of relief organizations that are hard at work here. Overseas as well, there is a sense of camaraderie from the city of Berlin, which happens to be Los Angeles's twin city. There is already a rallying cry going up there, a sense of comradeship and an effort to help. The city has begun collecting donations for victims of the Los Angeles earthquake. Los Angeles and Berlin have been sister cities for 25 years now, and Berlin's mayor says Berliners will never forget the way Americans helped them at their greatest hour of need during the Soviet blockade of 1948 and 49. During his Cold War visit to Berlin, President Kennedy thrilled hundreds of thousands of Germans with his words, "Ich bin ein Berliner." I am a Berliner. There may be some in Berlin now who are suggesting Ich bin ein Angelino. Well, yesterday's earthquake and aftershocks gripped Southern Californians in fear, obviously. For children and animals, it was raw and uncomprehending terror. Jim Hill tells us about some people and animals who faced fear and found relief.
The rumbling earthquake, the fires, and the damage were especially frightening for families with young children. Some of them barely escaped with their terrified and uncomprehending youngsters. This woman and her baby were driving on a freeway overpass as it literally collapsed beneath them. They crawled from the wreckage with the child unhurt.
We're frightened, a little bit shaken, but we're fine.
In this mobile home park, the quake broke natural gas mains and touched off a huge fire that sent families running for their lives. Within a half hour, fire had burned from one end of this trailer court to the other, leaving some 40 families with nothing to come home to. Cheryl Mayfield and her young family assessed damage as only a family can.
I don't feel good at all. But I have him.
He's my boy. That's all that matters, right? We got our lives.
Laura Porter was searching for a family of a different sort. Her terrified family pets scattered as the powerful quake shook the valley.
Well, I found my Nellie. She was in my clothes closet.
Luckily, her search was successful.
The black one in there is 14 and a half years old, and I've had her since she was 6 months old, so she's my life.
Life is something many families in this valley are especially thankful for now. Jim Hill for CNN, Los Angeles.
Our coverage of the Los Angeles earthquake and its aftermath will continue. If I'm not mistaken, we just felt yet another aftershock here a few moments ago. It's hard to tell, though. Sometimes they seem to roll one right after the other, on and on. Meanwhile, residents here getting on with their business, as we've just seen. We'll be back with some personal reflections and some final observations right after this. But what you have seen is the sheer horror and the terror of the earthquakes. Earthquakes that have caused so much damage and that even now have put terror in the hearts of millions here. People have amazing resiliency out here, but you see what they face. These pictures show the downside. KTLA brings you these pictures from their helicopter. Homes that had been seaside, or rather cliffside homes, have now succumbed to the cliff. Some of them very luxurious, expensive homes indeed, tumbling down the side of this hillside, perhaps damaged irreparably, perhaps not, in any case sustaining substantial damage. At the other end of the economic spectrum, perhaps trailer parks that had been wiped out in little time yesterday, as we saw when gas mains ruptured. What has struck me out here in talking to people is, despite the fact that many have lived here all their lives, people I've spoken with, friends and relatives who've been here for more than 20 years, what took place yesterday rattled them to their cores. They have never felt anything like this. They've felt other tremors, other earthquakes, rolling ones, gentle ones perhaps. Perhaps they took that a bit too cavalierly in the past, believing that the big one was some bit of lore or myth that lurked out there in the distant future, 100, 200 years from now, that wasn't going to happen. But indeed, what took place yesterday did happen. It was a violent shaking motion that went on and on. There have been more than 200 aftershocks to remind people, as if they needed reminding, of exactly what took place. They're now the wide shot from that picture of KTLA. From their helicopter, you can see the embankment there spilling down across the roadway. From the pictures we've seen across Los Angeles this morning, some people are out on the roads, but it's fairly sparse as people begin to take stock and put their lives together. Our coverage from Los Angeles will continue. I'm Frank Sesno. Stay with us throughout the day. Perhaps years ahead. Wilson estimates it may be a year before the roads are fixed. There are now 32 confirmed deaths due to the quake. At last report, 1,075 people had been treated at area hospitals. At least 15 people were killed at one apartment building alone in Northridge. In the words of one woman who helped rescue fellow residents, what was really hard was when you could hear someone screaming and you couldn't help them. People whose homes were damaged and others who were just too afraid to stay indoors set up makeshift camps on ball fields, in parks, and on sidewalks. The Red Cross has opened more traditional shelters in 21 sites throughout the region. The Los Angeles Department of Power and Water reports 300,000 customers are still without power and 50,000 are without water. The National Guard joined police on patrol as a dusk-to-dawn curfew was in effect last night. Los Angeles police report 73 arrests for looting, curfew violations, and other crimes since the quake emergency began. We have other stories brewing today, some of them rather significant ones indeed. For those, we go now to Leon Harris, who's in Atlanta. Good morning, Leon.
Good morning to you, Frank.
Another victim inside that rubble. What's happening?
There is some concern that there's still maybe one more person trapped in the rubble. For now, the death count, as you said, stands at 15, and the hope here is that it will not go higher. Nevertheless, these search and rescue teams remain on the site working around the clock until they can say for certain that all are accounted for. Joining us now is Mike Kubasi. He is one of the survivors of this fatal collapse who went on to escape the building and help others. Mike, what happened immediately after the earthquake?
Right after the earthquake, I was disoriented.